welcome to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Juliet, the daughter.
And I'm Kevin, the dad.
And this week, after I had a big Lebowski watch party at my house, we're going to be covering Creedence Clearwater Revival. So, Dad, what do we need to know?
Well, we need to know that John Cameron Fogerty was born May 28th, 1945 in Berkeley, California, and grew up in El Cerrito, which is part of the San Francisco Bay Area. He was the third of 5 boys, one of them being his older brother Tom. While at Portola Junior High School, John formed a cover band with bassist Stu Cook and drummer Doug Clifford. They called themselves the Blue Velvets. The trio mostly played instrumentals and jukebox standards and backed up John's brother Tom at recordings and performances. In 1964, Tom joined the Blue Velvets. The band released some singles, and one of them was picked up by Casey Kasem when he was a DJ at KEWB Oakland. In 1964, they signed with independent jazz label Fantasy Records because they liked the Vince Guaraldi song Cast Your Fate to the Wind.
No way!
Which was on Fantasy. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, everything and nothing.
Fantasy co-owner Max Weiss changed the band's name to the Galawags.
Oh, that's a name.
No,
that's a choice.
A Galawag is, or was, might still be, a doll-like character that is racist as all get out.
Oh, yeah, that's the one in Extras with Ricky Gervais, right?
I believe so, yeah. It's
Yeah.
probably still popular in Europe.
Look it up and be ready to cringe and go, ugh.
Yeah. Anyway, Tom switched from lead vocals to rhythm guitar, whilst John became the lead vocalist, lead guitarist, and primary songwriter, which was a good thing, too, because it turned out John was a genius.
No shit.
Yep. Tom admitted that he himself could sing, but that John had a sound. In 1966, John and Doug Clifford were drafted into the U.S. Armed Forces. John was in the Army Reserve, and Doug was in the Coast Guard Reserve. John served part-time and was discharged in 1968. In the meantime, he took control of the group, becoming a multi-instrumentalist.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
No thanks. And producing the band's recordings as well. In 1967, Saul Zaentz bought Fantasy Records. He signed the band to a new contract and offered the band a chance to record an entire album. The band hated the name Gollywogs and came up with their own, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Explain.
Per Wikipedia, the name came from 3 sources. Tom Fogerty's friend, Creedence Newball, the band added the extra E in Creed, a TV commercial for the Olympia Brewing Company, who apparently used Clearwater to make their beer, which you kind of hope they would.
Yeah.
And the revival part signified the guys' renewed commitment to the band. Their self-titled album came out in July 1968, and they got a decent-sized hit with their cover of Dale Hawkins' Susie Q, which went to number 11 on the top 40. A follow-up cover of Screamin' Jay Hawkins' I Put a Spell on You went to number 58. Years later, John said he knew the follow-up had to be a big hit or it'd be back to the car wash for all of them.
Oh, no.
And he did whatever it took to make sure that that was not going to happen.
Not going back to the car wash.
So he told Tom, Doug, and Stu what was what. He also said he knew that already at this point, Creedence was a ticking time bomb, and it was only a matter of time before it exploded.
God, someone could be an adult.
CCR released their second album, Bayou Country, in January 1969. This was the start of a string of hit albums and singles for 2 years. They put out 5 albums in that time. 3 in 1969 and 2 in 1970. The single Proud Mary went to number 2 and became their most covered song. The most famous version we know is
Tina
and Ike. Speaking of number 2s, Creedence never had a number 1. They did have 7 number 2s, and when we get to those songs, I will let you know the songs that kept Creedence from hitting number 1.
I listened to a couple of them. One I liked, one I thought you gotta be kidding me. We'll get there when we get there.
Yep, so at this stage in the game, Creedence is absolutely killing it. Fans love them, critics are nuts for them, and they were the one San Francisco band that didn't solo for 20 minutes, and they were coherent. John Fogerty's lyrics dealt with universals, thereby guaranteeing them timelessness, and the band was tight. They did what the best rock and roll does. They kept it short, said what they had to say without any BS, and made sure you could dance to it. They played the Atlanta Pop Festival in 1969 and then Woodstock a month later.
Sweet.
In the space of 16 months, they released 4 consecutive classic albums.
Wow.
Green River, Willie and the Poor Boys, Cosmo's Factory, and Pendulum. And then You knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Trouble.
As you were building up, it's like they're having success after success after success. I'm like, when are we going to get to our tagline here on the show?
Oh, lots of trouble.
Oh, shit.
First, Tom thought John was too controlling, so he left CCR in 1971. But they continued as a three-piece. John didn't about face with his controlling ways and told Stu Cook and Doug Clifford they could write and perform their own material, whilst T. John would stay out of their way, contributing only guitar parts.
Were those songs bad?
I haven't heard any of them, so I can't say.
Okay.
CCR's final album, Mardi Gras, came out in April 1972, and they did get 2 top 40 hits, Sweet Hitchhiker, which went to number 6, and Someday Never Comes, which went to number 25. At this point, John Fogerty had it with Stu and Doug. He had also had it with Fantasy Records, as Saul Zaentz never gave the band a better contract. They were the greatest American band, and they had been saddled with one of the worst contracts ever.
How much money were they not making?
Oh, millions.
Oh.
Fantasy owned CCR's distribution and publishing rights. Zaentz also made bad investments on the band's behalf, costing CCR millions of dollars. There were a number of court cases, and eventually Concord Music bought Fantasy Records in 2004. Believe it or not, John Fogerty signed with them, and the new owners restored the royalty rights Fogerty had given up.
Well, at least they got restored.
Showed the man respect, and as of 2023, he owned the rights to CCR's global catalog.
Oh, so good. He's making money back. Yay.
The man is worldwide.
Yep.
But before all that happened, in 1973, John put out his first solo album, The Blue Ridge Rangers. Oh, and he also owned Fantasy 8 more albums.
Oh.
And he refused to work for the label. Eventually, Asylum Records' David Geffen bought out John's contract for $1 million. John put out a self-titled album on Asylum in 1975 and then stayed quiet for 10 years.
Didn't feel like he had anything to say?
Nope.
I respect that.
In 1985, he released Centerfield on Warner Brothers Records. He got hits with The Old Man Down the Road, Rock and Roll Girls, and the title track, which they played a lot when we went to Paw Sox games.
I mean, what other song are they going to play?
That crappy, crummy, talking baseball song.
Oh, the one The Simpsons did?
Yeah.
The Simpsons one's funny. Come on.
That one's a lot better, yeah. He put out Eye of the Zombie in 1986 and then was quiet for another 10 years.
He needs a break.
He did tour during Centerfield, but refused to play Creedence songs because he would have to pay performance royalties to Saul Zaentz.
Oh, shit. The fans must have hated that.
But in 1987, he broke his self-imposed ban when rock and roll's favorite couple, Bob Dylan and George Harrison, told him if he didn't play his CCR stuff, the world was going to think Proud Mary was Tina Turner's song.
Correct, and they still do.
He came back in 1997 with Blue Moon Swamp, which won a Grammy for Best Rock Album, and he did the tour, which your mom and I saw him in Boston, and he just sounded great.
Oh, that's good. Wait, how many years later was this?
1997.
Oh, so good for him.
27 years ago.
Good for him still having his voice at that point.
Yep. Tom Fogerty released solo albums. He died in 1990 of AIDS complications, which he contracted via a tainted blood transfusion he received while undergoing back surgery.
Oh, no.
Doug Clifford and Stu Cook did session work, and in 1995 formed Creedence Clearwater Revisited, which is kind of like a tribute band for their own band, I guess.
How original.
The band was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993, and it did not go well.
What happened?
John refused to perform with Stu and Doug, and the latter two were barred from participating in the All-Star Jam.
So,
not cool.
What happened?
That's what happened. Just not a cool scene.
And the other guy had to be like, thanks for coming.
Fortunate Son was added to the Library of Congress's National Recording Registry, and Fortunate Son, Proud Mary, and the album Cosmo's Factory were inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Whatever that is. That's kind of like, sorry we didn't give you Grammys when you deserved them at the time.
Like honorary Oscars.
Yeah. As for me, I remember hearing Proud Mary as a kid when it came on the radio. Being all of 6 years old, I thought the song was called Rolling on the River.
I thought so too when I was a kid.
And I would sing that part a lot.
To
and
Dan?
I'm sure it probably drove Nana and Grandpa nuts.
Yeah, they probably wanted to kill you. That was some enchanted evening.
I bought Chronicle on vinyl sometime in the 80s, I think. And I got the CD version much later. But I held off getting the CD version until I was aware that it had been remastered. And then a couple of years back, I got Chronicle Volume 2 on gold CD for only $10, brand new, at Newbury Comics. But as for Chronicle itself, Fantasy Records released it as a 2-record set in January 1976. As of September 2023, the RIAA certified it as 12 times platinum, which means it sold 12 million copies in the United States alone. It's also appeared on Billboard's 200 albums chart every single year since 2010, and at the end of 2023, it ranked number 39, which is pretty impressive. The CD version has a short essay by critic Greil Marcus. It also contains a chronicle, get it, of CCRR's history from 1967 through 1972, and it lists every single album they put out along with each album's track listing. So let's jump right into it.
Oh yes, let's. First song, Susie Q. This song is hot. The drum intro starts off at a piano volume, and then as it crescendos, transitions smoothly from one ear to the other, if you're listening on headphones. You know a songwriter has done a good job when you want to be the object of affection in a song, in this case, Susie Q. This man loves her, the way she walks, and the way she talks. But then another guy sings, and they put an echo on his voice. My theory is that it's an ex-boyfriend or former lover in her past who can't get over her. This song just grooves. It has an electric guitar that they know how to use at just the right volume and intensity to convey lust. And they're not afraid to use sound effects in the studio either. And there's one that sounds like Woodstock's elevator if you really listen to it.
Yes. Okay.
Yep, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And the musicianship comes together perfectly for a really sexy song. As for Dale Hawkins, I really love the opening clang of the cowbell, but in comparison to Fogerty's voice, there's no contest. Good musical arrangement and sound quality, but slap Fogerty's voice in there and it'd be perfect.
This is from Creedence Clearwater Revival, the self-titled debut. This was originally written and recorded by Dale Hawkins in 1957. He was Ronnie Hawkins' cousin. Remember Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks, who later became the band?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. A 17-year-old James Burton played the guitar solo. He'd go on to play for Ricky Nelson and Elvis Presley and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2001.
Cool.
I think Hawkins' version is absolutely wild, and it has a lot of cowbell. Creedence's version is more well-known. They slowed the song down a bit, almost making it like a James Brown song in which they establish a groove and just work it.
Yeah.
Now, the album version, the complete version, is 8 minutes and 37 seconds. Now, John Fogerty said he made the song that long so San Francisco radio station KMPX on your FM dial would play it. For the single, it was split into 2 parts. Chronicle has part 1, and wait for it, Chronicle Volume 2 has...
Part 2?
Very good.
Wow, what a shock.
Creedence was never really a jam band, which is one of the things that set them apart from a lot of 60s bands. But here they were just starting out, so mistakes were made. I find the single version is more than enough for me, though.
Yeah.
But I agree with you on every single point that you made.
Okay, next track. I Put a Spell on You. Dad, how is this not on our Halloween episode?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to make a statement, and Dad, look away now. The lead singer's voice is sex on a stick. Okay, that's it. His voice is so powerful, I didn't even do anything, and I regret the things I did. And the drumming, you know how in the song he's like, I put a spell on you because you're mine, and he lists all the things that she did. Me, Juliet, I didn't do anything in the song, it's just the character, but he's singing so powerfully, I'm like, I'm sorry for whatever I did, please forgive me. Anyway, the drumming is just so damn good, and how it starts off like a military drum roll and builds and builds and builds with the guitar until it reaches the musical climax, which is 100% intentional. It's not often when I listen to a song that's non-musical theater or classical and admire the musicianship. You gotta be one of the greatest bands of all time in order to get me to do that. We're only 2 tracks in, but this band is already making me lose my mind at how incredible they are. Way better than Bette Midler's cover in Hocus Pocus, which is overrated in my opinion. Tim Curry's is okay.
His, I thought, was, what do you call it, recitative?
A recitative?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Although Nina Simone's is haunting too for different reasons, and Voctave did an interesting medley with it, I found, but Dad doesn't like a cappella, so he's never going to like any of those.
Nope.
Nope.
This is also from CCRI.
CCRI?
CCR. Sorry.
That's our local community college,
Of
folks.
Rhode Island. Sorry. Anyway, this was first written and recorded by Screamin' Jay Hawkins in 1956. Now, originally this was intended to be a ballad, but food and booze were brought into the studio, everyone got drunk, and history was made. Hawkins said he couldn't even remember making the record. On stage, he'd rise from a coffin and wear a cape, and there were also snakes, skulls, and fireworks. So the man was Alice Cooper before Alice Cooper was Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And he pretty much invented shock rock. This is the stuff that scared the bejesus out of parents back then and probably now.
Oh, yeah.
And his version is untouchable, but Creedence comes so damn close. I mean, John Fogerty just wails away. Mm-hmm. And the guitar work throughout is just amazing. I mean, everyone is just killing it on that song. Mm-hmm. And like you said, there are a lot of versions out there, and I listened to all the ones that you sent me. And I gotta say, Nina Simone's is fantastic, and I'm sitting there listening. Yes, Nina, I will do whatever you say.
Next track, Proud Mary. Okay, we already reviewed this song when we did our tribute to Tina Turner. If you listen to that episode, you already know that I prefer CCR to her rendition. Why? Well, I heard CCR's first. There's nothing wrong with Tina's at all. It's just I was hypnotized by how John Fogerty sang the word rollin', and I've had a soft spot for it since. I remember not being a big fan of the song in either rendition when we last covered it, but I guess I have to be in the right mood for it because I thoroughly enjoyed it here. Fogerty's voice has the sound of a man with grit who has been through a lot, but he's become matter-of-fact with how he views life and keeps on going. And the harmonies on Rollin' on a River sound so good. I also like how they have the letters do a barrel roll across the screen in the official lyric video. That's a pretty funny touch. Would I add this song to my playlist? I don't know. I'm more of a put it on when I'm in the mood when it comes to this one. Now, as for the song that kept it from number 1, Dizzy, I thought the instrumental opening was fine, but then the singers opened their mouths and I went, oh no, no way. The song isn't terrible. It's mediocre, light and catchy pop, and nothing wrong with it every now and then, but everyone must have been on drugs for Proud Mary not to be the number 1.
Or payola. Anyway.
Or what?
Or payola.
What's that?
Payola was back in the 50s where they would send record reps to radio stations. Hey, I'll give you $50. You play my song.
Boo.
Yeah, or hey, Coke and Whores. What do you want? We got everything. Just play the damn record. Okay, this is from Bayou Country, and it hit number 2, and yes, Dizzy by Tommy Roe was in the number 1 spot.
I was like, you're kidding me when I heard it.
Pardon me whilst I throw up in my mouth. I tried listening to the whole song because I felt it was my duty to you, the listeners. But
I listened to the whole thing.
You are a better host than I am because I just couldn't. I mean, that song is now in my head and I cannot get it out.
This isn't one of our Dave Barry episodes, so he didn't have a reason to listen to it all the way through this time.
But if we do a Dave part 2, I probably don't have to. Anyway.
Well, part 2, we're doing the ladies.
John said he wrote this song in 2 days. So, yeah, he left a good job in the city, had to work for the man every night and day, but he chooses that all for life on the Mississippi like Mark Twain. This is a song in which Creedence figured out who they were. It's 3 minutes, they hook you in, they tell you a story, and then get out. Mm-hmm. And I'd say if this was the only song that they ever did, they'd still be in the Hall of Fame.
Correct.
And then we have Ike and Tina's version, which is just a Stone Cold classic, just for the intro alone.
Oh yeah, the slow part with the spoken word, yeah.
And they managed to do something with Proud Mary that Creedence did not.
Quoi?
They won a Grammy for it.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Oh. Next track?
Yes, please.
Bad Moon Rising. It's the apocalypse. What signs are there? A bad moon is rising, and hurricanes and winds are coming in, so you better get your affairs in order. So, don't come over tonight, baby, or you might die. As someone who worked in healthcare, though, all I can think of is when things were going wrong at the hospital, and one of us would check the weather report. If there was a full moon that night, everything suddenly made sense. Working in a hospital was when I got a bit more suspicious of full moons and also the Q word. But for a song about the end of times, boy, is it catchy. As for why this one didn't make number 1, I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised that an instrumental by Mancini made it to number 1. And considering Bad Moon Rising came out in 1969, maybe people were looking for escapism to be swept up in, and Henry Mancini's theme for Romeo and Juliet is quite beautiful. What?
Okay, first, this is from Green River, and yes, kept from number 1 by Love Theme from Romeo and Juliet by Henry Mancini.
You love Mancini.
I like the man. I mean, Pink Panther theme, Baby Elephant Walk, which I played at my funeral.
And what yet?
Peter Gunn,
Moon River.
Moon River, and even Romeo and Juliet. They're all classic themes, but come on. Oh my God, we're talking Bad Moon Rising here.
Well, that's why I have my theory. It's like 1969. People are still recovering from 1968, and they want an escape from all that, and they don't want to hear about the Bad Moon Rising. They just want to get sucked up in the romance and forget for a little bit.
They just want to hear about 2 kids who had a suicide pact.
Listen, they don't mention it in the context of the song.
A time for love.
There's no lyrics.
A time for death. Yeah, there are lyrics.
Wait, what?
I'm pretty sure there are lyrics out there somewhere.
All right, well, in the version that hit number 1, there are no lyrics.
Yeah, it's probably good.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, John said this was about the apocalypse that was going to be visited upon us. He has visions. He sees the bad moon, trouble on the way, earthquakes and lightning and bad times. Now, this is back in 1969, like you said. Nixon's president. Vietnam is raging on. And the summer of love was definitely over. It was the summer of hate.
Yeah, again, people want something that's more romantic. And
now the thing is, though, if you listen closely to the lyrics, they're not tied to any of those specific incidents.
Oh no,
which makes it timeless. And unfortunately, it's just as relevant today as it was 55 years ago.
Yeah, especially with climate change creating more bad winds and hurricanes.
And our political climate and just the whole just the whole world.
Yep.
Just the whole nutball of the world. And as apocalyptic as the lyrics are, the music is just so damn happy, isn't it?
I see a bad moon rising, and you're like, oh,
hey,
yeah.
everybody, we're just gonna die.
And the happiness is like, hey, we're gonna die. We don't have to deal with this shit anymore. Let's go.
Yeah, pretty much. And all of this in an astounding 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah. Next track, Lodi. I wonder if this song is how Bill Murray's character felt in Groundhog Day. I wouldn't know. I haven't seen the movie. Yeah, I haven't. This track is if Creedence sang the blues. This musician is trying to make it big, and just when he gets the beautiful feeling everything's going his way, life kicks him where it counts, and he's back at square one in Lodi. It's so relatable, he says, I guess you know the tune. And the musicians can relate to the moment where he commiserates over the fact that if he had $1 for every time he gigged in front of a drunk crowd, he'd be a millionaire. Not a blues song where you get down in the dumps yourself, but one you can nod your head to and go, yeah, man, I feel you.
Mm-hmm. This is also from Green River. Yep, John is a down-and-out singer stuck in Lodi, California. He's been there for a year. He's so down and out he can't even make bus or train fare to get back home. It's a mournful song, poor guy. Now, in real life, it took Creedence 10 years to make it.
Wow.
10 years of going through everything that John sings about in that song, and they never gave up, which is just incredible. 10 years. Drunk people, just, people saying, hey, you're on your way, and you're not. And
Next track, Green River. Oh man, I love that opening guitar. What's the summer vacation you dream about from when you were a kid? That's what this song is for me. For me, it's summer camp at Yazzie. Fogerty is yearning for a Green River where he could catch catfish and see girls dancing and hit grooves. A song that's very good, but is better appreciated in the summer when you're looking to party in nature. And that's really all I have to say. As for Sugar keeping it from number 1, it's a fun, happy, catchy earworm. 2 songs I like for 2 different reasons. I can't hate on either of them. But, Dad, in the music video, who the heck is the frog?
Did you watch the whole music video?
Bits and pieces of it, yeah, but I mostly listened to the song. There's a frog that shows up for no reason.
Well, I think that was Sabrina changed,
Oh, right.
I think it was either Archie or Hot Dog, the dog, into a frog.
Okay.
Anyway.
And Wilson Pickett gives it more soul in a very nice way with his cover.
Yep. So this is also from Green River, obviously, and it hit number 2, and yes, kept from number 1 by Sugar. Now ponder that.
You
and
like
the thing
Sugar,
is, I don't like Sugar.
What?
I love Sugar.
Okay.
Come and get me, snooty rock critics. I mean, even Wilson Pickett's version is great. I mean, he gave it soul, which you didn't think this song would even have, but the man just brings it. But Creedence being kept out of the top spot by a cartoon musical group, it just ain't right. It just isn't. Anyway, John based this on his childhood days, hanging out by Puta Creek in Winters, California. This is
Come again?
Putah.
Oh, I see. By one letter. All right.
I knew you were gonna laser in on that. So he changed it to Green River because, well, Puta Creek. Come on. He got the name from, believe it or not, a soda bottle. Green River is still made, and sales always spike around St. Patrick's Day. I don't know if it's a national brand or a regional brand. I've never seen it around New England.
Is the soda green in color?
The bottle's green.
Okay.
Plus, he thought the name would fit better in what he called the Bayou vibe. Now, Creedence was from Northern California, but their music evokes the bayous of the South, like especially the Louisiana area, obviously. The lyrics have an almost mythic quality to them. He sings about biting catfish, the bullfrogs, the dragonflies, flat car riders, and cross-tie walkers, which are drifters, basically. When John was young, old Cody Jr. warns him, the world is smoldering, and if he ever gets lost, come on home to Green River. Now, old Cody was Buffalo Bill, who really did own a cabin by Puta Creek. But the way that he sings the song, it's like we really don't know if John went back to Green River or if he's just reminiscing. And again, he gets it all done in 2.5 minutes.
Next track, Commotion. That opening guitar lick could have come off of a Beatles album. It sounds reminiscent of the intro to Baby You Can Drive My Car.
Yes, it does.
Have you ever just had enough of a busy day and all you hear is the noise, noise, noise? People talk a lot, but they're not... Noise. Exactly. People talk a lot, but they're not saying anything. This is a topic a lot of rock songs have covered, Psycho Killer being alluded to earlier being the most famous example. I really love the guitar here as the notes descend. The music doesn't sound like noise, though. That'd be too on the nose. And the finale is perfect. Great 2-minute song that rocks out, gets the job done, and leaves.
Okay, a song also about, what'd you call it, talking loud and saying nothing? The ultimate example would be James Brown's song, Talking Loud and Saying Nothing.
Okay.
Excellent song. This is also from Green River. John wrote this about the craziness that is New York City, your favorite place in the world. Everyone's rushing around, and it's just manic. Traffic's backed up everywhere. People are talking without saying anything, rushing to the treadmill, rushing to get home. It's just non-stop chaos. And you know what else is manic about this song?
Quoi?
The music.
But not in a way that turns you off.
No, John said the song's beat matches the beat of a train. And it sounds like they sound like they're going to go out of control, but they just keep it together. And I love how, like, it just all... not really crashes at the end, but you get that the way it ends. Great stuff. It lives up to the title.
Next track, Down on the Corner. Some local kids are playing on the corner just after supper time, and that's about it. Think of the people you see busking for fun, only you actually really like their music. Like when the East Side does that series of outdoor concerts at various people's houses in the summer. Makes me think of that or seeing the bands at Blount's when we go get clam cakes and chowder. In my opinion, Blount's chowder isn't really that good. Not my favorite, but the song did confirm for me that Creedence's music sounds perfect for warm summertime.
Okay. This is from Willie and the Poor Boys. And this is the first of what I call the preposition songs.
They end in prepositions?
No, we've got Down on the Corner.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yep. It's a song about a band called, obviously, Willie and the Poor Boys. They play on the corner near the courthouse. The instruments are harmonica, washboard, gut bass, which I had to look up and turns out to be washtub bass, a kazoo, and a kalamazoo, which was a budget line of guitars manufactured by Gibson, first from 1933 to 1942, and then from 1965 to 1970. I always thought the line was, Willie goes into a dance and devil's on the loose, but it's doubles on kazoo. But I wasn't the only one who heard it that way. When John Fogerty found out this is what people thought they were hearing, he saved the phrase devil's on the loose for Run Through the Jungle.
Which we'll get to when we get there. Next track, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fortunate Son. Okay, Dad, I'm going to give you a scenario. You're held at gunpoint, and you have to preserve one song for eternity. This Or Born in the USA, which protest song bites the dust?
Which one do we keep?
Yes.
We keep Fortunate Son, of course.
Okay, this song can be summed up in one line from 1776. You don't see any of those men in Congress aching to join up, do ya? This song was one amongst many making a point about Vietnam. The senators' sons don't have to fight, and they brag and flaunt their wealth. But suddenly, when they get taxed, it's, oh, woe is widow me. A song that is unfortunately still relevant, but fills you with bitterness in a good way. Again, a song where you can nod along and relate to the message because we see it in action every goddamn day.
Mm-hmm. This is also from Willie and the Poor Boys. I think it's the band's second greatest protest song. And the first for me would be the song that follows Fortunate Son on Willie and the Poor Boys, Don't Look Now, It Ain't You or Me, which will smack you in the face hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Chronicle too, so we may talk about that song someday.
Okay.
Anyway, on one hand, it was a Vietnam protest song, but on the other hand, it's more about class warfare. John Fogerty was inspired by David Eisenhower dating Julie Nixon. He thought that if you were the son of a senator or congressman, you could get a deferment or some cushy position in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Eisenhower, however, did in fact serve 3 years in the U.S. Naval Reserve from 1965 to 1968.
His father would have killed him if he didn't.
Most of it as an officer on the USS Albany in the Mediterranean Sea. Now, the former guy used this song frequently during his re-election campaign.
I know.
An odd choice since old Bone Spurs got a deferment, because I guess he never listened to the words. John Fogerty had to issue a cease and desist letter.
Just like Tom Petty's family had to as well, along with Queen's estate.
Now, this song is 2 minutes and 18 seconds of rock and roll fury, and it's going to outlive us all. It just is.
Next track, Traveling Band. Boy, did this song wake me up when I listened to it at 7:44 a.m. This guy is just excited to play his music. So excited, we have a whole brass section now with saxophones. They're just trying to travel in their 737 to play and have fun, which is interesting considering how Boeing has been in the news lately. A happy, fast-paced song that will wake you up if you're not up already.
This is from Cosmo's Factory, and it hit number 2, and it was kept from number 1 by Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel.
Okay, that one's not bad.
Can't argue with that.
No.
John sings about being on the road, flying to this place and that, and he's singing at the top of his lungs. Basically, it's Little Richard's Good Golly Miss Molly with different words.
Oh.
The company that owned the publishing rights to Good Golly Miss Molly also thought so.
And sued.
And a plagiarism suit was settled out of court.
Oh, okay.
But at least John Fogerty stole from the best.
Next track, We'll Stop the Rain. Oh, those opening notes on acoustic guitar are gorgeous. Another great protest song. There's a lot of sorrow in the world and people do their best to bring light, but still you wonder, we'll stop the rain finally. And at one point there's some sort of sound effect that sounds like pelting raindrops, along with vocals that slur and slide, making for a perfect touch. In my opinion, this one leans on poetry and prose more than Fortunate Son. Not a bad thing, just an observation. I really liked it.
This is from Cosmo's Factory, and it also hit number 2 the same time as Traveling Band, as this was released as a double A-side single. So it was also kept from number 1 by Bridge Over Troubled Water. Now, John, he sings a song like a man resigned to fate. Long as I remember, the rain been coming down. He sings about good men trying to find the sun. He goes on to Virginia only to find 5-year plans, like in Russia, and New Deals, like over here in the 30s, wrapped in golden chains. And lastly, he sings about being at Woodstock, where it rained for real. And I think it all comes down to no one really cares enough to stop the rain, hence the defeat in Fogerty's voice. To me, this is easily the saddest song on the collection.
Next track, Up Around the Bend, another preposition song. This song is pleasant enough, catchy vocals and a simple story of going up around the bend. First time I wasn't invested in the lyrics or the story. Probably a good song when you're going for a long drive to meet up with a friend. Probably also the first song where we get vocal scatting, which caught me off guard. For me, the first skippable song, and that says something considering how late into the album we are.
This is also from Cosmo's Factory, and yes, another preposition song. Our rallying call the good times, leave the city behind, and, quote, hitch a ride to the end of the highway with the neons toying to wood. And that opening guitar riff is catchy as a cold. It's kind of slight amongst their songs, but damn, it's just so catchy, and every time you hear it, you just crank it up.
Next track, Run Through the Jungle. A dramatic piano intro and a guitar riff that sounds like the opening to Death on Two Legs? Color me intrigued. And then I realized This is the song that plays in The Big Lebowski when the dude and Walter drop off a ringer for a ringer. They're driving along the bridge, throw the case out the window, and get shot at by Walter's own piece. So I can't hear this song without that scene playing in my head. And I enjoy it for that reason alone, not so much the lyrics or story. But I do remember thinking that the music was cool for the moment. Like you hear Walter go, "Here goes the ringer!" Throws it out, and then that's when the song reaches its climax, which is perfect.
This is also from Cosmo's Factory. In another preposition song. This was John's gun control song. He read that at the time, there was one gun for each man, woman, and child. 200 million at the time. And you had to navigate the jungle that is America and try not to get shot. And guess what? You still have to do that today.
And Walter gets shot by his own Uzi, so it works. Walter, I love you, but you're going to have to face the fact that you're a goddamn moron. Fuck it, dude, let's go bowling.
In 1985, Fantasy Records, okay, more like Saul Zaentz, sued John Fogerty for copyright infringement, claiming that Fogerty's comeback hit, The Old Man Down the Road, was run through the jungle with different words, which it was. Now, the judge ruled in favor of John, saying that a songwriter cannot plagiarize himself.
No, you can't. You can recycle your own stuff.
John said that John then sued Saul for the cost of defending himself. Now, in such copyright cases, prevailing defendants seeking recompense were bound to show that the original suit was frivolous or made in bad faith, and then you get compensated. Now, the district court and the Ninth Circuit of Appeals ruled against Fogerty. The Third Circuit thought otherwise. So guess what? Since there was a split, the Supreme Court heard the case in 1993.
Oh my God.
And they ruled in favor of John Fogerty.
Thank God.
So basically, and essentially, they said, yeah, it doesn't have to be a frivolous lawsuit for you to get recompense.
Yeah.
For the fees, which was history making. So there you go.
Next track, Looking Out My Back Door. This was also used in The Big Lebowski, where the dude is jamming to this in his car, only to drop a joint a little too near his crotch, and he frantically tries to put it out with a bottle of beer.
It crashes.
That poor car goes through is the most abused character
in
the whole goddamn movie. It's also the scene where he finds Larry's homework after the car got stolen, leading to one of the inciting incidents of the movie. Is this your homework, Larry? Dude, please. Larry, is this your homework? We know you stole the car. We're gonna cut your dick off, you little brat. It's perfect for the movie as the dude sees the blue Volkswagen looking through his rearview mirror. So he's not quite looking out his back door, but he is looking through the mirror. In the context of this song, this guy just got home from Illinois and he needs to take a breather. And the rest of the song are his observations as he's looking out his back door. Good song for chilling on a summer day.
Now, the thing was, I did a little research, and The Big Lebowski came out in 1998.
Correct.
And at that time, John Fogerty didn't own the rights to his songs yet until 2004.
Oh.
So.
Well, that's sad. But, hey, great use of the songs, though.
Yeah, because one of his things that he hated was, like, just how his songs were used. Like Who'll Stop the Rain was used for varnish for protecting your wood deck.
Ugh.
And there was another song, I think it might have been Fortunate Son, I cannot remember, but it was used in a Wrangler's jeans commercial, and then Wrangler found out John was so upset they stopped the commercial.
Well, at least they stopped. Most companies wouldn't. I like to think he would have liked how his songs were used in Big Lebowski, though.
He said there were some songs, like everyone remembers the songs in, I guess, famously, was Forrest Gump, which I still haven't seen. Anyway, okay. Looking Out My Back Door, from Cosmo's Factory, hit number 2, kept from number 1 by Diana Ross's Look at Me cover of Ain't No Mountain High Enough.
I hated it. I couldn't listen to the whole thing. I was like, what's the point of this? We already have the Marvin Gaye duet. That's all we need.
Right, it's supposed to be a duet. It's not supposed to be, oh, I will be your savior.
And then she does this. I knew it was going to be bad as soon as I heard the spoken word portion. I was like, crap.
To quote Mr. Martini from It's a Wonderful Life, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Save me from listening to this song. Anyway, this is the last of the preposition songs. John wrote this, believe it or not, for his 3-year-old son, Josh. He was inspired by the Dr. Seuss book, And to Think I Saw That on Mulberry Street.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
in which a boy imagines a parade of oddities while walking home down said street. And the band keep it fun and catchy.
That's kind of cute. I wonder what other songs Dr. Seuss has inspired. Maybe we could do a whole episode about that for his birthday or
Well,
something.
I know the Red Hot Chili Peppers did a song called Yertle the Turtle
Aw.
back in their early days.
Next track, Long as I Can See the Light. This reminds me of the T.S. Eliot quote, "The end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and to know the place for the first time." This song has some melancholy, but overall it's comforting. Makes me think of the people I know and love in my life whom I know I can always go to for anything. Just a song that puts you in a grateful mood, which makes me grateful that this song exists.
This is also from Cosmo's Factory. It hit number 2 the same time as Looking Out My Back Door. So again, this is a double A-side single. So this was also kept from number 1 by Ain't No Mountain High Enough. So this time, to quote McNair from 1776, "Sweet Jesus."
Second Continental Congress meeting number 104. Sweet Jesus.
This is a bluesy ballad. John sings about packing the bag and hitting the road, probably doing the touring thing. He doesn't know how long he'll be gone, but as long as there's a candle in the window and he can see the light, he will find his way back home. And I'm pretty sure this is probably what he was feeling when the band was on tour. And there are a lot of bands who said that they can easily relate to the song, and when they hear it, it just gets them, especially when they're on the road.
Next track, I heard it through the grapevine. My first note, 11 minutes. This better not suck. Musically, the instruments give the impression that a bomb is about to go off. And at the 3-minute mark, they sounded Santana-esque with the arrangement of cowbell, guitar, and drums. What I can't get over is how he sings the word heard. He says it, heard.
Like he's from Brooklyn.
Exactly, like what is he, an Italian gangster in an Edward G. Robinson movie? And then at a certain point, the instrumental became easy to tune out. I'm sorry, but once I got the vibe they were going for, it became background music for me, and it sounded like an excuse for a jam session more than anything. I can't last that long. But then, I listened to the 2 other versions you sent me. As for Gladys Knight and the Pips, she sounds angry as hell, which, reasonable. Marvin Gaye's has more drama due to the orchestration in his voice. For whatever reason, this song doesn't grab me in any cover, so at least I'm consistent.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I just didn't do anything for me. I know it was a very popular song at the time. A lot of famous people have covered it. It's one of Marvin Gaye's most iconic songs, but no version does it for me. Then that's just how I feel.
This is our 7th and final song from Cosmo's Factory. It appeared as a single edit on the vinyl version of Chronicle, as the original 11-minute plus version was too big to fit on this collection until the CD was invented. And I have to admit, I was so used to the 3-minute version, it took me a while to get used to this complete version. But believe it or not, I've never felt it as being too long. It doesn't bother me, even though it's 11 minutes. I know that there are some reviewers who say that it just is like a jolt on the CD version. Like you've got all these really short songs and then you've got 11 minutes and it just kind of...
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah, but like I said, it really doesn't bother me. Now, the song was written in 1966 by Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong and was first recorded by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
Oh, I bet theirs is good.
But their version didn't get released until 1968.
How come?
I don't know. Marvin Gaye recorded the version in early 1967, but his didn't get released as a single until October 1968.
How come?
Well, I just finished a book about girl groups, and Motown was notorious for like, yeah, you're going to record the songs, but we don't know if we're ever going to release them.
Oh.
And there might have been some times where it was like, okay, we need product. Okay, we'll pick this and throw it out there and see what happens.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Gladys Knight and the Pips recorded their version in September of 1967, and it just got released immediately, and it went to number 1 and became the biggest Motown selling single up until that time, until Marvin Gaye's version was released, because that version also went to number 1, and it stayed there for 7 weeks. Now, here's the thing. Amongst those 3 versions, I like Gladys's version the best because she brings it, because it's like...
Oh, yeah, she does.
She's pissed, she's paranoid, she knows it's gonna be over, she's out of her mind that this guy is gonna leave her, even though she's heard it through the grapevine. It's like, well, is this gonna happen? Is it not? You know?
This version probably is what got her into the Kennedy Center Honors alone.
Now, Marvin Gaye's version gets the most play, and I like it, but I've always thought it's like, well, he's Marvin Gaye and he sings it like, yeah, you're gonna leave me, right? I'm Marvin Gaye. Come on, baby, come on. You leaving me? That's okay. I'll find someone else because again, I am Marvin Gaye.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as for CCR, John Fogerty sings it like it's inevitable, like
Yep, crap.
he's rock and roll's Eeyore.
Like the bomb's about to go off. Oh, rock and roll's Eeyore.
Yeah.
Side note, I'm just gonna go off on a tangent. It's a super quick one. I saw the short that Disney made, Once Upon a Studio, for their 100th anniversary, and the premise is they're getting all the animated characters together to take a group photo, and it gets taken, but in the first time that Goofy tries it, he mucks it up and the camera breaks, and Eeyore looks at everyone and goes, guess we'll try again in another 100 years. Okay, that's all I wanted to say about Eeyore. Go back to where you were.
Okay, so rock and roll's Eeyore. Nothing good ever happens to him, so why should this time be any different?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it probably is going to happen.
I would like to make a point about Eeyore, though, that even though he was depressed, his friends didn't turn him away and still, made an effort to include him in all the fun so he wouldn't feel left out, not to add to his depression.
They did give him that great birthday present of the empty honey pot with the busted balloon that he could put the balloon in the pot and take it out.
And he really liked it.
He was a donkey of simple pleasures.
Exactly. And you can find images on the internet of the rare times when Eeyore smiles in the Winnie the Pooh cartoons, and it's very nice to see.
Because someone else is getting the crap beat out of them, not him.
I'm sorry, one last note about Eeyore. So this is a lot of people know this, but you might not. The voice actor for Eeyore at one point was also the same voice actor for Optimus Prime. So they did a video of what would happen if Eeyore and Optimus met each other, and it basically ends with Optimus threatening to kill whoever made Eeyore sad. It's so great, I'll show you later. Okay, anyway. Next track.
Yes, please.
Have you ever seen the rain?
Yes, we saw it yesterday.
Oh god, I know, that was terrifying to drive in. This reminds me of the Mean Tweets Musicians Edition, where someone said, hey, James Taylor, we get it. You've seen Fire and Rain. Guess what? So has everyone else. Isn't that special? #douche. Anyway, but this one, Have You Ever Seen the Rain? Good song about how life tends to balance itself out. Some days it's raining, and some days the sun is shining. Some days it's both, and that's when depression can hit. Another comforting melancholy, which is a style I think they do very well. Mm. Although I was sad to see so many comments about this song playing at someone's dad's or grandfather's funeral. Sorry for our losses, everyone.
Mm. This is from Pendulum. John said he wrote this about the tensions within the band and Tom Fogerty's upcoming departure from CCR. He said the line, have you ever seen the rain coming down on a sunny day, was inspired by the band's feelings of unease and depression during the height of their success. Mm. And also you get like the sun shower where it's like, okay, which direction are we going here? Could be good, could be bad. Don't know. So I also think it could be about the 60s being over. I can kind of see that. Mm-hmm. Whatever you bring to it, though, it's still a sad, depressing song, and he just nailed it.
Next track, Hey Tonight. This would be a good first entrance song at a wedding reception, I think.
Yeah, it would, especially if it's a night wedding.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had a good feeling or something that you particularly look forward to and knew that everything was going to be great? That's what this song is. The music makes you feel good with the key they set it in, and the vocal harmonies are beautiful. What a great song.
This is from Pendulum, and it's pretty much a straight-ahead rocker. John is flying tonight, but not in a drug-induced way.
No.
He was very anti-drug. He could be flying high from the music, gonna get it to the rafters. His friend Jody's gonna get religion, but I think it's the rock and roll kind. And he's seeing the rock and roll light from the band playing. There's not a lot really going on here lyrically, but it rocks, and sometimes that's enough.
Next track, Sweet Hitchhiker. That opening guitar slide made me go, did we turn on a song by The Cramps? And then the rest of it kicked in. A driver who thinks he's hot shit is speeding down the highway and gets distracted by some smoking hot hitchhikers until he becomes a hitchhiker himself. Fortunately, another smoke show picks him up. Or maybe unfortunately, because we don't know what happens to him after that, so you fill in the blank. Cars and girls. Rock's favorite topics. A standard rock arrangement, but not one that grabbed me.
This is from Mardi Gras, their final album. Mm-hmm. So I kind of looked at the meaning of the song differently. Like John's riding along, and he sees a slight distraction in the road. It's a blonde distraction. He picks her up, and then I think he pays the price because by the end of the song, He's busted up along the highway asking, won't you give the poor boy a ride? So I think she carjacked him. Gets in the
Aw.
car, puts the gun on him.
Yep.
Okay, pull over nice and slow.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like he still wants her. He still wants her to come back and pick him up.
He's
and
just horny
not
and
gonna...
stupid.
Yeah.
That's what it is, really.
Yep, but the song rocks hard and fast.
Final track. Someday never comes. I'm gonna state an opinion. The fanboys are gonna come after me, but I won't care. This is if Bob Dylan had clarity and wasn't ambiguous.
Mm.
Definitely a song where you have to sit down with your emotions and ignorance. Gets back to the old age question, why? And the answer, someday you'll understand. Guess what? I still don't understand. It's human not to understand. And Dad, you know what the kicker was? I listened to this song after I watched The Seventh Seal for the first time. Makes you grateful for the time you have. Sure, you'll never know all the answers, but you can't waste your life trying to figure it all out because that way lies madness. Be sure to enjoy the simple moments like being with your dad or that son being born, or enjoying a bowl of strawberries and a bowl of milk with a group of jugglers. And that's really all I have to say. That's what happens in Seventh Seal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is from Mardi Gras, and this was their last single. It made it to number 25. As John is growing up, he asks why about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that this was the answer he got when his parents got divorced.
I feel like it's either that or because.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if I've given you becauses through life.
Oh, I can't remember, so.
Good. Grown-ups can't give him a good reason beyond someday he'll understand.
Mm-hmm.
And he's here to tell us that someday never comes.
Mm-hmm.
There's more questions than answers in life, and then he has a son of his own, and all he can tell him is that someday you'll understand.
The cycle repeats.
And so it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Just doesn't stop.
Overall, I really enjoyed Creedence Clearwater Revival a lot. I can see why they're the dude's favorite band. They fit his vibe perfectly. And I feel good after listening to Volume 1 of this Best Of collection, or Chronicle. So if you want to feel good too, pop on this album and sit back and relax. White Russians and joints in the bathtub are optional.
Nah, this is one of the greatest hits collections ever assembled.
Mm-hmm.
It's an absolute must for any rock and roll fans collection, and since there are 12 million copies sold, chances are pretty good you may already have this.
Oh, sure.
I highly, highly, highly recommend Chronicle.
All right, as always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz, because remember, the more you interact with the video, the greater a chance we have of appearing on the YouTube homepage. If you follow me on social media, I post the episodes there. If you're friends with my dad, tell him what you want to listen to, and he'll email it right to your inbox. As always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. We will be back next time with another album to nitpick and gripe about. Dad, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Rolling.
Rolling on the river.
Down, 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 down.